Greetings and salutations, fellow pilots. This is Akirishin. We are looking at the American Bell P-39N-1 Airacobra. This is a premium aircraft. It features large caliber armaments that are effective in close combat. Has a combination of a big cannon and several machine guns. It's a fighter, so it's got low survivability. No particular additional issues in terms of, a vulnerable engine or often catches on fire, nothing like that, so that's good. Said to have good airspeed and boost. Well, it does have a boost, but I hope they don't mean the word good to modify the word boost, because it's only a 6-second boost. So right there with the abysmal Japanese fighter boost. It does have high maneuverability in horizontal turns, which is really nice. It is said to be effective in mid-altitude maneuvering combat. It's, as I'll show you, its maximum optimal altitude is 1,500 meters, so right there in the middle. And of course you do get the benefits of having a premium aircraft. So as I mentioned, it has machine guns. It has two 12.7 millimeter machine guns that do 45 damage per second each with a 750 round rate of fire. So you can definitely start some fires with that rate of fire. Effective firing range of 520 meters, so about a medium effective firing range. The other set of machine guns, there are four 7.62 millimeter machine guns that do 23 damage per second, 600 rounds per minute rate of fire, and an effective firing range of 440 meters, which is not too great, but is what it is, right? And then you have the Mac Daddy, the 37 millimeter cannon, which does 170 damage per second, a rate of fire of 120 rounds per minute, and an effective firing range of 520 meters. So best with this aircraft to be nice and tight with your target. In terms of this aircraft's stats, this all expanded for you here. As I mentioned, 1,500 meters is the maximum optimal altitude, service ceiling of 3,500 meters, rate of climb of 115 meters per second. Stall speed is 180 kilometers per hour. Flying this aircraft, I did find that I had issues with it stalling quite a bit, so just keep that in mind. It has a 9-second average time to turn 360 degrees, so not the best, but pretty good. Rate of roll of 165 degrees per second, so that's pretty good. Minimum optimal speed of 240 kilometers per hour, maximum optimal speed 520 kilometers per hour. Airspeed, cruise speed is 395 kilometers per hour, boost speed 588 kilometers per hour. As I mentioned, 6-second boost duration. It does take a while to get anywhere in this aircraft. Not a particularly fast aircraft. I wouldn't describe it as slow, but it's definitely not fast. Sometimes you may be best just to get over one important sector and just defend it. Cumulative damage of all the forward firing armaments is 352 damage per second with an optimal distance of 520 meters. I do have this aircraft at specialist level to feature for you guys. Always like to do that so you can see all of its equipment. In the cockpit, I went with the sight, and specifically the advanced Cullinator sight that has plus 11% accuracy of forward firing offensive armament, plus 10% chance of causing fire, plus 5% accuracy when firing at moving targets, with a negative of -7% to pilot's resistance to injuries. You also have the bonus characteristics of plus 10% chance of causing fire, plus 5% accuracy when firing at moving targets. We could have gone with cockpit armor, which would have increased the crew's resistance to injuries, but you would have lost aircraft maneuverability. And I would say that this aircraft's maneuverability is one of its strengths. It's not the best, though, in that category, so we don't want to debuff that at all. For the airframe, went with advanced lightweight wing frame, which increases roll maneuverability by 8.5%, maneuverability in turns by 2.4%. Bonus characteristics of plus 3% wings resistance to critical damage, plus 3% roll maneuverability. The negatives are minus 3.8 in aircraft hit points, minus 6.5 in wings resistance to critical damage. So your net there on the wings resistance to critical damage is minus 3.5%, given that we do have that bonus characteristic that offsets that. Also went with improved reinforced skin, which increases tail's resistance to critical damage by 13% and wings resistance to critical damage by 13%, so that completely wipes out any concerns for the negatives there on our advanced lightweight wing frame. Bonus characteristic of plus 5% tolerance to damage from AA guns, always a plus. Some of those AA guns can be pretty vicious. The negatives are minus 2% aircraft's cruise speed, minus 2% maximum speed with boost activated. Other options would have been reinforced airframe, which would have increased our aircraft's hit points, but we would have lost maneuverability. As I mentioned to you, don't want to do that. Also could have gone with polished skin, which would have increased the aircraft's speed. This aircraft speed just isn't that big of a strength, whereas its maneuverability is, and that's what we'd be losing if we went with polished skin, so I don't think that's a viable option. For the engine, went with advanced lightweight power unit, which increases yaw maneuverability by 5.5%, which is worthless. Never use that. Maybe you guys do. I don't know. But for our purposes, it increases maneuverability in turns by 2.4%. We have a bonus characteristic of plus 1% acceleration with boost activated, plus 0.5% in cruise speed. The negative is minus 10% to engine's resistance to critical damage. However, in that regard, I did go with the emergency engine restart system as a consumable, which gets our damaged engine repaired. So it kind of offsets that negative concern in going with advanced lightweight power unit. Alternatives would have been engine armor protection, which would have increased the engine's resistance to damage, but we'd lose aircraft speed. It's already, not a very fast aircraft. Felt like, when I went from one sector to another that it took forever, so I really didn't want to lose any speed. Combined engine injection / boost system, which would have increased boost efficiency, but at the cost of boost availability. It's a 6-second boost, so I don't see that making much of an impact. Or uprated engine, which would have increased the engine's thrust, but at the cost of resistance to fire. Again, I just don't think the engine in this aircraft, I don't think you're going to be able to buff it to the point that it's going to be that much of an advantage, whereas having this aircraft as maneuverable as it is an advantage. For consumables that we haven't talked about, we went with emergency medical kit, which restores our pilot to health should our pilot get injured, and that does help a little bit with our minus 7% pilot's resistance to injuries that we had with advanced collinator sight. For the airframe, we went with secondary control systems so that if our wings or tails do get damaged, we can get their controllability back. Also, CO2 inerting system, which reduces the chance of fire by 30%, effective for the course of the battle. Your other option would have been backup mnemonic control assist, which would have increased maneuverability in all axes by 10%. And that certainly would be a viable option for this aircraft. I just chose to go with the fire reduction consumable, just because fire can often be an issue, and this is kind of a squishy fighter. And the maneuverability is not bad as it is. So for a forward firing weapon, I went with fragmentation ammunition, which carries with it the maximum chance of inflicting critical damage and is recommended for auto cannons. You would be perfectly fine with going with universal ammunition, which increases chance of causing fire and inflicting critical damage. You could even make an argument that the universal ammunition might be a little bit better, because we do have all of those machine guns which have such a high rate of fire and are prone to causing fires. So the universal ammunition would enhance that. But my thought was, the Mac Daddy of this aircraft is that cannon, that big cannon, so we want that to be as effective. It's the knockout punch, so that's why I went with fragmentation ammunition. In terms of pilot skills, I was torn between our two engine skills, Engine Guru 1 and Engine Guru 2, which would have increased this aircraft's speed and thrust, versus Marksman 1 and Marksman 2, which would certainly help us with the accuracy of that big cannon that we have. In the end, I went with Marksman 1 and Marksman 2 because I really want that cannon to be as effective as possible, given that it is our coup de grace of weapons. And I figured most likely we're just not going to make this aircraft fast to the point that it would justify spending all those points for Engine Guru 1 and Engine Guru 2. So that's why I went with Marksman 1 and Marksman 2, so that we can make sure that big cannon is as accurate as possible. Of course, to have good synergy with our chosen equipment, I went with Aerodynamics Expert, which increases the positive effects of the mounted equipment on aircraft maneuverability and speed by 40%. I also went with Aerobatics Expert, which increases maneuverability in all axes by 2%. If I had another skill point, I would probably put it in fire resistance to have additional help in that regard. Looking at paint schemes, this is Desert. Marine. Winter. And Summer. Okay, so that's my build for the P-39N-1 Airacobra. Let's head into a battle and see how it actually performs. Okay, so we will be fighting in our P-39N-1 over the Cold Peak, Gem of the Mountain theater of operation. Of course, we're going to head to the command center here first, or to get that in our possession, hopefully, for our team. Boy, a lot of red here. A lot of red. BF-109 here. We should be more maneuverable than it is. Multi-roll here. Hold still now. There we go. Alright. Some lag in this game. looks like they're making some inroads into the military base over here. They've got a heavy fighter over there. Maybe we can keep them from getting it. Mosquito. Whatever it is, it's coming our way. Looks like our teammate's gonna get it before we get there. Yep. But unfortunately they were able to secure commands, or the military base. We're flirting with the stall speed, and I don't want to get caught this high up.
The enemy has gathered forces to attack the command center.
Stalled. That will not go well for us. This aircraft definitely could use a longer boost. That is for sure. And we've got several reds down here. Let's focus on this P-39N coming our way. And we set it on fire. And we got a fighter on our tail here. Something on our tail anyway. Is that BF-109? Maybe out for revenge there. Come on. We just need to outturn it. And again, we're flirting with stall. Oh, okay. Decided to crash. Well, that's helpful anyway. I think our maneuverability was damaged there. Well, that's clearing out some of the riffraff. Let's go down here for this light aircraft here.
The enemy is launching rocket strikes on our complex, trying to neutralize the enemy military base.
There we go. Ah, come back. This command center back here, that would help. There we go. What do we have up here? Multi-roll, P-47 coming in. Which is working on one of our multi-rolls. These cannons do overheat quickly. Got another multi-roll coming in.
Enemy object damaged. Hang in there. You'll soon be cut off from support.
Here's our BF-109 buddy again. Pretty low on health here.
We've captured the command center, trying to contact the front headquarters.
Liberty Ghost. That's a cool name. We'll focus on this yak here that's was low health.
Victory is in sight. Keep it up.
What in the world
There's a heavy storm here.
is a
Unable
ground
to
attack
proceed.
aircraft doing
Turn
up
into
so
base.
high?
Do you copy?
I don't know if we're going to survive the tail gun on this thing. Yeah, like I said, we could definitely use a little bit longer boost. And the squall line is in here. So we get taken out, that's it for us. Ah.
Air supremacy achieved.
Yeah, heavy fighter up here. Mosquito.
Great job today. We'll be waiting for you back home.
Okay, excellent victory. Number 1 spot there on the team. 2 chevrons on the grade rank. Subjugator, effective fire, top pilot, flying start, and expert pilot. Alright, so we'll head back now to the hangar and take a look at the after action report. Alright, 112,593 in currency, 2,829 in experience points, 141 in free experience points, 11 kills, 3 assists, 2 sectors captured. We were not shot down the entire time, which was that's always nice. Total battle duration was 8 minutes 13 seconds. Had 10,265 in personal points there. So yeah, the P-39N-1 Airacobra. Excellent little aircraft. Pretty good maneuverability. See that cannon up there in the front. And then the machine guns. Alright, well, I hope that you have really enjoyed this video, and if you get the P-39N-1 Airacobra, I hope you have great success in it.